The next presentation we have today is about the Skagway Port Redevelopment Update. We'll have a presentation from Cody Jennings, who's the Port Director for the Municipality of Skagway. Welcome, Cody.
Test this out. Hi, good afternoon. I am Cody Jennings. I'm the Executive Director for the Port of Skagway. I'm really delighted to be here today giving you guys an update on all of our development plans and activities that are going on in Skagway. Today I'm going to cover just a brief summary of our 2023 highlights. We'll talk about a rock slide update, port projects, timeline, and hopefully we'll have some time for closing and questions. So we started off 2023 conducting rock slide mitigation work to allow the railroad dock to open to cruise ship traffic in 2023. All the work and the equipment that we installed was done to meet DOT highway standards, which permitted ships into the aft and forward berths. Aft ship passengers were bussed off the dock and forward passengers were tendered into the boat harbor. This work consisted of the installation of drape mesh and attenuators at the mid-slope and the base of the slope. It reestablished the rock slope monitoring equipment, which included extensometers and tilt meters, and it also included on-dock protection. There is additional hazard work to address in the long term. I'll cover that later in the presentation. On March 19th, the 55-year tideland lease with Pacific Arctic Railway Navigation Company, or White Pass, expired. The operations and management of the tidelands, uplands, and associated infrastructure reverted to the municipality. This included establishing leases with many of the subtenants of White Pass, our local cargo carrier, bulk fuel plant, and others. Skagway also, under the management of the municipality, had a record year. We saw 497 cruise ship passengers. I think I must have, nope, I didn't. We saw 1.2 million cruise passengers. We saw 49, or we've seen 43 cargo barges and expect 49 before the end of the year. We have seen 12 fuel barges and expect 15 before the end of the year. We saw one ore ship, but that was prior to the municipality taking over the management. And we've seen 8 miscellaneous vessels, including Coast Guard and private vessels. We also started our Ore Peninsula redevelopment project. That project bid in July. There was one bidder, Pacific Pile and Marine. The total project, including cruise ship dock, marine services platform, fuel header relocation, et cetera, was bid at $102 million, which was about $50 million more than engineers' estimates. Given the high costs, the municipality worked with Pacific Pile and Marine, the apparent bidder, to de-scope the project, focusing on the cruise float and postponing other aspects of the project until a later time. I'll cover a little bit more of that later on. In August, the municipality was notified that its $19.9 million BRIC grant application, Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities is the grant, our application was selected for advancement and final review. This application for rockslide mitigation is one of 124 competitive projects from across the nation to advance further review for funding by FEMA. So after final review activities have been completed, the BRIC grant funding will be conveyed by FEMA to the state of Alaska for award to the municipality. So because this is the first time this project or this grant had been awarded to Alaska, it's taking a little extra time to work through the details, but we're hopeful that we can expedite the process and move forward as soon as possible. And finally, in October, the Skagway Assembly passed Ordinance 2323 that requires ore imported or exported through or to the Port of Skagway must be transported in sealed containers loaded onto shipping vessels of any kind using containerized bulk ore handling system. Those specific systems will be determined at a later date. Projects going on in the port. It's probably appropriate to talk about the rockslide mitigation because this has implications across the port. In the short term, we're looking at preparation for the 24 cruise ship season. We won't be undertaking any new mitigation measures. It will be required maintenance, repairs of existing instruments and monitoring systems. And we have to ensure that any of the design or construction does not in any way impact our BRIC grant application because it would nullify those funds. For the long-term project, which would be funded by the BRIC grant, requires about approximately 30,000 yards of material excavated from the mountainside. It would require stabilization of the slope, including the pinning the headscarp. And the project will be designed and constructed with funds from the BRIC grant, which is $19.9 million, plus a 20% match from the municipality. Back to our Ore Peninsula redevelopment project that I mentioned before that we had to de-scope the project. That project got started in early September. It includes the demolition of the ore loader, a portion of the timber dock, and a portion of the concrete dock. It includes construction and installation of a 500 by 50 foot timber dock, 2 additional deepwater dolphins, 250 feet further south from the southernmost existing dolphin, so it'll be in about 250 feet of water, and will allow the port to the ability to accommodate the largest class of cruise ship calling on Alaska. This is especially important in light of the rockslide issues that we've been dealing with. Currently, only the aft position on the railroad dock will accommodate those ships. The other pieces of the Ore Peninsula redevelopment project, I mentioned the Marine Services platform. The municipality has been working closely with Yukon government on our port development plans for several years now, ultimately with the goal to facilitate ore export in and out of the port of Skagway. The platform consists of a 60 by 220 foot wharf accessed by a 40 foot trestle from the uplands constructed with 2 dolphins. You can see it here. That's the T-dock that's there. Also included in this piece, I don't really go over, is relocation of our fuel headers. And then the roll-on, roll-off facility, which is all the way north there. This is a project that we've also applied for grant funding for. We were recently, did not make it past the initial phase, so several more opportunities to pursue that. It's a industrial roll-on, roll-off facility to accommodate heavy movement of cargo, and it replaces the current pass-pass system that our local cargo carrier utilizes. Also deferred to a later date was our Ore Peninsula uplands. We had to defer that due to the de-scoping. this portion of the project will still need to happen and will likely be rebid at a future date. This work includes electrical upgrades, including for shore power tie-in, sewer and water upgrades, access points for the MSP and RORA ramps, pedestrian walkway and handrails, improved transportation, wayfinding and signage, and other custom features, including a windscreen for pedestrian traffic. Our future port projects on the horizon are existing ore terminal abatement and demolition. As I mentioned before, the Assembly passed Ordinance 2323 requiring containerized bulk shipment of ore. We'll need to do some work to prepare the industrial area for that ore transshipment. This will also include pre-demolition abatement, adjusting the stormwater flow and collection and disposal of this recycled waste material, and then demolish the ore terminal storage facility buildings and fixtures. A project that's also been on our horizon is our ferry terminal relocation. Currently, it's sort of in the middle of the port. In 2022, October, we signed an MOU with the state of Alaska to evaluate the possibility of moving our ferry terminal to the Ore Peninsula, with the objective being that we would move cruise traffic to the eastern side of the basin and move more of our industrial traffic to the west side of the basin, facilitating more adequate multi-use. Another future project is shore power and energy sharing. In January 22, we signed an MOU with Yukon Energy to pursue a joint feasibility study on the possibility of an intertie. Ultimately, it would be to utilize excess Yukon Energy in their off-season, which are the summer months, to power cruise ships. This is a undeveloped project, but we're still considering it. We have signed on with other Southeast Alaska ports, the Port of Vancouver, the Port of Seattle as well, to establish a green corridor for the inside passage of Alaska. So that marries well with those objectives. And our future development on the ore terminal is being built when we do our upland work to have that intertie. So as I said, our timeline, the construction of the floating dock is happening now. We hope to have that complete to start our 2024 cruise ship season. We'll also be conducting some basic rock slope maintenance over the winter to ensure safe operations during the season of 24. In the winter of 24-25, we hope to start the more broad project of doing the excavation and stabilization that will be supported by the BRIC grant. And then the Marine Service Platform construction is still on our schedule to hopefully begin in the fall. In 25, we hope to do the ore terminal demolition and the ore uplands project. And then for 26 and beyond, we'd like to pursue the roll-on, roll-off facility, our ferry terminal relocation, and eventually ferry terminal redevelopment if we are successful moving the ferry to the Ore Peninsula. All of this, of course, is dependent on permitting processes, funding, et cetera. So we hit the ground running this year when we took over the management of the port. Lots of projects before us that we're in the middle of, and options to consider for the future. We continue to engage our community, partners, stakeholders, Yukon government, State of Alaska, Yukon Chamber of Mines, industry to get feedback on our port development plans. Obviously, our funding opportunities are critical to these developments. Obviously, I told you the cost of our current project, so we will continue to seek out those BRIC grants and RAISE grants, other funding opportunities. And ultimately, this is all to support our mission, which is to advance economic opportunities and quality of life in the local community and region by promoting trade, travel, commerce, and job creation while protecting and enhancing Skagway's natural environment. Thank you so much for letting me give an update today. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer.
Could you clarify what you mean by containerization of ore? Do you mean that the ore arrives in a container and the container and the ore get loaded into the ship?
I think those systems are yet to be determined. I think one point of topic that had been discussed was a rotainer system, something that had been evaluated and brought up at various Ports and Harbors Advisory Board meetings. We have attempted to view the system that they have at the Fraser Surrey port. The system was there, but it wasn't actively loading or unloading, so we're hopeful that we get another opportunity to do that.
I'm familiar with the rotainer system, but have you checked with the ships themselves? I'm a long way inland here in Whitehorse, so what do I know about it? But my contacts in the shipping industry say that bulk ore does not go by container for several fairly good reasons. One is safety regulations, and the second is dwell time for loading. Yeah. I know, yes, it's still to be determined, but it sounds kind of fishy to me.
Well, these are going back to some of our historical contamination issues that are extensive. The community has strong desires to, if this is going to be the port for bulk mineral shipment, that it be done in the most environmentally friendly and sustainable way possible. We are still dealing with legacy contamination from the 60s. We just, as I said, we removed the ore loader, but that ore shed is still standing, and all of that is going to fall to the community of Skagway to have to resolve.
Since 1990, since the ship loader was enclosed and the ventilation was put in the ore shed, there has not been any contamination in Skagway. The city of Skagway would pass that motion. It just makes no sense.
Well, I encourage you, if you'd like to get involved, come down and join one of our Ports and Harbors meeting, reach out to our assembly. But we are undergoing, we've done our phase 2 environmental, we are working through our phase 2, and there does prove to be extensive contamination remaining.
Well, the only remaining contamination is undersea on the floor. There's nothing on the surface, everything was cleaned out. And then the ship loader was enclosed and there was ventilation and filtration put in the ore shed.
Well, if you look at ADA's report of a few years ago, they do indicate that ore loader was in extensive disrepair, and some of our recent environmental testing does indicate that there are several hot spots in the uplands that will have to be addressed.
That were caused prior to 1990.
I'm sorry, I can't speak to. I don't think we know enough about that yet.
On the energy going, you needed it when you didn't need it?
From Skagway's hydro? I think that there's discussion about what that looks like. I think we haven't delved into what the feasibility of that is yet. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cody. And for those of you speaking on the containerization, we're very aware of the challenges there, and there's going to be a lot of interaction going on with the municipality from the Chamber of Mines over the next year or so here. So more than happy to continue to have those conversations and as we try to work with the community for just a better understanding of how all that works. So thanks again, Cody. Everyone, we're on a break here for a little bit. Please come back for the final sessions of the day at 2:50. Thank you.